one of the following is the flag of Singapore? The national flag of Singapore was adopted in the year that Singapore became self-governing within the British Empire. It became the national flag when the Republic gained independence on the 9th of August, 1965.
Saudara-saudara, saudari-saudari setanah air, merdeka! Lagi sekali yang bersemangat merdeka!
The Singapore Arm and Flag National Anthem rules define the flag's composition and the symbolism of its elements. Red symbolizes universal brotherhood and equality of man, and white, pervading and everlasting purity and virtue. As we know, Singapore is a melting pot for religion, which is reflected in the design of its flag. The Muslim population wanted a crescent moon to represent a young nation on the ascendant. The Chinese population wanted 5 stars, which were modeled off the flag of the People's Republic of China. It stands for the nation's ideals of democracy, peace, progress, justice, and equality. Singaporeans are encouraged to display the national flag outside their homes during National Day celebrations, and residence committees, particularly those of public housing estates, often arrange coordinated displays. Besides National Day, there are 10 other public holidays in Singapore. All of them reflect the national culture and religious differences. The National Day of Singapore is celebrated every year on August 9th in commemoration of Singapore's independence from Malaysia in the year 1965. Other holidays include Chinese New Year, the Buddhist holiday of Vesak Day, the 2 Islamic holidays of Hari Raya, the Hindu holiday of Deepavali, the 2 Christian holidays of Good Friday, and Christmas Day, and the secular holidays of New Year's Day and Labor Day. Which of the following phrases is part of Singlish? The major languages of Singapore include Malay, Mandarin, Tamil, and English. Colloquial Singaporean English, or Singlish, is an English-based Creole language spoken by many people living in Singapore. Use of the alternative language is discouraged by the government and some locals. However, it is still widely used, and knowing some basic terms and phrases can be helpful. For example, if someone refers to you as Lobo, they are saying that you are lazy. In a business setting, this may be an indication that your peers don't approve of your work ethic. Another term to watch out for is angmo, which basically translates to stupid white person. If someone refers to you as an angmo, you may have done something disrespectful towards their culture. Now on to some basics regarding food and beverages. Hawker centers are essentially food courts containing a variety of small food stalls that are frequented in Singapore. These centers were originally set up as a more sanitary alternative to street food. Food at hawker centers tends to be fairly inexpensive and quick to make. Kaya toast is a typical offering that you may find at one of these stalls. It is basically toast prepared with coconut jam, coconut milk, eggs, sugar, pandan, and sometimes margarine or butter. Another option you may find is chicken rice, a national dish of Singapore that was brought over from the Hainan province of southern China. Tea and coffee are always sought-after product in any country, and Singapore is not one to differ. Tea is known as teh, and coffee known as kopai, can be tailored to the consumer's drinking taste by altering the suffix when ordering. Teh C, or kopai C, comes with the addition of evaporated milk. Teo, or kopai-o, refers to tea or coffee with no dairy products added in. Some additional suffixes include peng, meaning with ice, or kasong, meaning no sugar, and siu dai, meaning less sugar. If using public transportation in Singapore, which of the following methods of payment is the most sensible? Getting around Singapore with public transportation is incredibly easy. The Mass Rapid Transit System, referred to as MRT, is similar to the Vancouver SkyTrain and is the fastest way to zip around the city. Both the MRT and bus systems have an extensive network of routes covering most places in Singapore. This means that most of Singapore's key attractions are within walking distance from a station or stop. Both buses and the MRT use a special contactless payment system, the EasyLink card. EasyLink cards, which can be bought at any MRT station or 7-Eleven, are very easy to use. As soon as you step on a bus or before you enter an MRT platform, just tap the card on a panel at the entrance. As you leave the bus or MRT platform, you tap another panel to complete the transactions. Don't forget to tap, otherwise you will be charged the full amount. It can also be used in taxis, for purchasing food and beverage, shopping, leisure and entertainment, government service, parking, and other payments. The Toyota Corolla in Canada is worth 30,000 Canadian dollars. How much do you think you would need to spend on buying this car in Singapore if the exchange rate is almost 1-to-1? Singapore, modernly nicknamed the Fine City, which holds a double meaning referring to both its well-known steep charges for minor offenses as well as its almost unsettling cleanliness. In Singapore, there are many tourist attractions such as Universal Studios, the Merlion, Sentosa Island, and much more. But the main three activities of locals consist of eating, shopping, and partying. Being as multicultural as it is, Singapore is famous for having good food, with restaurants providing dishes from every corner of the globe. It is also one of the shopping capitals of the world, with an entire 2.2-kilometer long boulevard called Orchard Road dedicated to being the retail and entertainment hub. Besides food and shopping, Singapore has several luxury clubs at which famous DJs often come and perform. However, for all this luxury, you must be prepared to pay the price. Let's take a look at some of the basic price comparisons between Singapore and Canada, expressed in Canadian dollars. First, we look at the average price of a pint of beer. In Canada, this can be between $5.50 and $7.50, and in Singapore, $11.26 and $14.07. For the average cost of food per month for one person, in Canada, it ranges between $200 and $300, and for Singapore, between $200 and $500, depending on how much you eat out. The average rent for one apartment in the city centre for Canada is between $700 and $1,100 per month. For Singapore, that's $3,095 to $4,689 per month. These large price gaps are also applicable to healthcare costs. Though Singapore boasts some of the world's top-of-the-line facilities and practitioners, the cost can prove to be very large for foreigners if you are not covered under your company's insurance. What is the International Baccalaureate? When considering your children's education, there are two main options in Singapore: the local schools and international schools, with the main players being the Singapore American School, United World College, and the Canadian International School. The preferred choice overall is international schools, and it is actually quite rare for expats to send their children to local schools, due to the rigorous nature compared to international schools. All international schools teach the International Baccalaureate program, referred to as IB. Which slogan do you think best describes Singaporean employees? How seriously do Singaporeans treat rules? Working in Singapore is different from working in your home country, known as both paradise and hell. If one were to use a single word to describe Singaporean employees, hardcore is the most accurate representation.
Some of them, they're always working really hard, like around this area, then they have to rush out for lunch.
If you walk around like Raffles Place at 10 p.m., the lights are still on, sometimes even at 2 a.m.
Wow!
Yeah, I'm not sure if they didn't off the light or they are people working actually.
Employees work from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. and come right back to the company the next day at 7 a.m. You should expect a heavy workload, and expected efficiency levels are high. It is not all doom and gloom though. Singapore's organizational culture is inspiring due to their hard-working nature. They are also rather collectivistic and so pride themselves in group achievements, making the workplace like a second family. Though the workload is large and the pressure can be very high, this is the typical workplace environment of most Asian countries. The slogan amongst Singaporean employees being, "You work, then you do not sleep." Foreigners may feel extremely stressed working at Singapore's local companies. The hierarchy is very clear in Singapore, and all employees are expected to follow managers' ideas and commands. Singapore's high power distance may be justified by Singaporeans' upbringing. Through family upbringing and education, Singaporeans have been inculcated to obey and respect others of higher authority. Although the employees are able to share their ideas of a particular project, the final decision is still made by the manager. Employees often claim that the secret to doing well as a subordinate is to echo a manager's opinions in order to avoid conflicts and increase your personal performance review. Although contrary to the rigid structure, Singaporeans display a very high degree of tolerance for ambiguity. There are no labor unions in Singapore, making jobs insecure to a certain extent. This may be one of the reasons behind Singapore's tendency to try to anticipate what their managers want to know.